Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. I'm your host and sometimes referee, Zach Stat Pearson, and today we're going to almost exclusively be talking about fighting game and fighting game related things. Of that, we've decided to invite our first crossover guest. Here comes a new challenger, the legend to end all legends, the bringer of the glow-in-the-dark t-shirt, one Steve from yovideogames.
Hey, how's it going?
And of course, we had to bring back the unfortunate crowd favorite, much to my dismay. Not because I'm jealous, but because everyone likes her because she enjoys my suffering. Neko Mimi.
Hi everyone. Nyampasu.
Stop fucking. Oh, it's not even a sentence.
The more angry you get, the more it fuels me.
Anyways, all right. So yeah, with that being said, the first question of the day is, what do developers need to do to actually get noobs, aka non-fighting game players, interested not so much in the fighting game genre, but their particular fighting game? You could make up a fighting game, or you could use any particular fighting game as an example. And Steve, we're going to start you off first. And remember, when you're done, let us know you're done and go to push to talk instead of voice activity.
Right. I'm a noob in Discord, so even with the push to talk, I was like, what's the push to talk? And then I clicked it, and then I didn't know what to actually push. So I'm just gonna go off of what I got, and then I'll keep quiet when everybody else is talking. I think that'll be fine. For the most part, you said I could use like a fictitious, but I'll use a real one. We'll start with something like, I guess it's a little simple and something that everybody is kind of acquainted with, which is Street Fighter. That's kind of like I guess you could say it's kind of like the go-to for a lot of people, because it was the staple for a lot of fighting games that came out at the time, and it's the catalyst that is considered, quote unquote, the one that started it all. So when you go to Street Fighter, you want to be able to be relatable to as many people as possible. But Street Fighter is a very niche game that has a lot of quirky characters, and for some reason, the assortment of all the characters that you get in original Street Fighter 2 is the type of game that is quirky enough to get people to be interested, but not necessarily want to master. That just comes with practice. That just comes with time. I remember the first time I started playing fighting games, it wasn't because I necessarily liked the characters. It's because my neighbors kicked my ass, and I had that competitive nature in me to want to learn how to play said game so that I can beat them later. Let alone like a month later, I practiced the game to the fullest and was able to beat my neighbors because I took the time to learn the game. So for a lot of people out there, fighting games in general, when they try to jump in, they may not necessarily have the time, or they don't have the patience, or they might not even necessarily have the skill to want to continue quote unquote labbing to learn the game as much as they would have to in order to be competitive in said game. But that could be said about a lot of games, fighting games, shooters, RPGs. That all of those games have a learning curve, and I think it just depends on the type of person that you are, depending on what you want to do in that game. So it might not be for everybody, but I understand if some people don't like it, and I also understand why people do like it. So I mean, it is a game nonetheless. You're supposed to have fun, so why not have fun?
I can agree with that. Like, especially being a League of Legends player, just have fun. It's a game.
That's hard. That's hard to do for a lot of people when it comes to competitive. When it comes to competition, people tend to, the salt is everywhere, and it doesn't even matter what type of game it is. It could be, it could be a first person shooter. It could be League of Legends and everything like that. You've spent a certain amount of time learning said game, and you consider yourself to be a master until you play that one guy that lives in his basement and has never stopped playing the game, and you realize that you'll never be as good as said person unless you become that person. So you get to the point where you understand that, hey, do I want to do this casually? Do I want to do this competitively? Do I want to do it professionally? And those are like 3 different levels of gaming when it comes to certain games. You could have people that really love said game and never be good at it. There's plenty of people that love, and I mean love, fighting games, but they're not necessarily good at it. But the reason that they still play is because they just enjoy it for what it is. They love the characters, they might love the story, they might love the combos and the gameplay, but those are just the casual players that usually make up 90% of sales when it comes to those games. And those are the people that are actually the backbone of fighting games in our community. But a lot of times they don't get a lot of credit. The ones that do are like the professional players that, you know, win the tournaments and, you know, get top 8 and everything like that at Evo and stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you there, not to interrupt, but that's one of the things that I've always said about fighting game community, that don't get me wrong, they get in a lot of trouble right now, but let's be honest, there was never a time, as long as there's been social media, where there wasn't some shit going down. But one of the things that is almost universal is I see competitive, not even professional, but just competitive players trying to disrespect or put down noobs for asking noob questions, as if a noob question is somehow a negative or something derogatory to be frowned upon. But yo, they're the backbone of how you get sequels and DLC. You think it's BS? Okay, one word, or really one game: Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are people like that. It's a mentality that I talked about with Max, and we talked about this before on stream, and it goes like, why is it that some people some people tend to, especially the fighting game community, some people tend to dislike Max? It's because Max tends to cater to the quote unquote newbie or the casual gamer that is just trying to learn the game from the ground up. And for a lot of the professional players, they expect you to lab and to understand the game at their level, and that just is impossible for a lot of the new players that have come out there. And the reason for that is because they don't have that drive, or they don't have the time that some of these professional players do. So they don't get the respect. And of course, you have the gatekeeper mentality, which is just get good. Why aren't you good? Why aren't you labbing? You should be labbing. And that just isn't something that a lot of people out there can achieve at that level. So I understand that. I actually understand where they're coming from as far as how they think, but I don't think that the way they address it is necessarily the right way to to approach somebody who's just new at fighting games. So so it comes down to it actually just comes down to the person's personality. That's literally what it comes down to. And unfortunately, there is a lot of trash talk in FGC. And for some reason, it like every week there's drama, but that comes with the trash talk. So it kind of comes with the territory. I kind of wish it didn't, but if you honestly look at it, it does get people. Here's the thing: if you look at UFC, if you look at professional boxing, if you look at MMA, all that stuff, everybody that gets into the ring has to like somehow trash talk the person. Oh, I'll kick your ass. Oh, you're trash. Whoa. And then when the fight's over, they shake hands. It's like, hey, I really respect you. You know, all that stuff like that. It's the funniest thing, but the bottom line is that people have to. I don't feel like they have to. I think that's a cultural thing, but to them, they feel like they have to get tickets, to get sales, to do all that stuff like that. Good sportsmanship in one-on-one competition is a lost art. When the good sportsmanship will happen after the fight, but when they're trash talking, it's just part of the thing. And in fighting games, it's no different. It's a one-on-one. It's you versus the other person. You're trying to outthink the guy, and at the end of the day, you have to let everyone know, oh yeah, you can, beat that person's ass, and you're the best player in the world, and no one can take you on. And when the fight comes, that's when you put all your cards on the table. And then when the fight's over, you either say, hey, good game, and everyone has good sportsmanship, or you continue the trash talk, and everybody goes to the Twitters, and the drama begins. So I think a lot of the times people will try to oversell themselves, and it comes off as kind of fake, and it's kind of comical from a standpoint that me, Max, Kenny, and Simmons are, because we've been seeing it since the jump. We've been at this since the arcade days, and we kind of understand where it's all gonna go, because it's the same story, different, same shit, different plate, I guess.
And that like expands to more than just the fighting game community too. Like I see it all the effing time in the League community. It's just, we don't want to help out new players. We don't want to help other players get better. We just want to shit talk them, whether or not they're worse than us or better than us. You're going to shit talk everyone.
Yeah, that's, again, I mean, that's the UFC, MMA, boxing mentality, where it's a cultural thing where people need to know you really hate that person, otherwise they're not going to buy those tickets. They want to know those people are in it to like just murder each other so that they will buy those tickets. I think, personally, I think it doesn't really, it shouldn't be there, in my personal opinion. But again, that's how you sell tickets, and a lot of people fall for it. And sure, if they're gonna fall for it, why not spend the money to watch those two beat each other to submission? What better way than to watch a fight than to watch two people who actually hate each other punch each other till they no longer are moving? Sure, why not?
It's questionable leaving on a good day.
Yeah.
True.
All right, Neko, your turn.
Oh, one sec, let me switch.
What do they need to do to get you to actually want to buy a game?
So yeah, I actually got into League of Legends not because I wanted to try out MOBA, not because I want to try out competitive play. Literally, my friends started playing Pokemon Tabletop Adventure, and the DM designed all of the personalities of one of the players' Pokemon, well, not all of them, but a good chunk of them, around League of Legends character personalities. I didn't know about any of these guys. So I got so fascinated with these personalities. I'm like, what the hell is this? Please show me where you pulled all this from. And I fell in love with all of the characters. Oh man, I actually have a picture for that for you. So for a person like me who definitely isn't interested in competitive gaming and to like become a hardcore gamer, and especially fighting games, like I've played maybe 3 casually. And I mean that more than like once or twice, where like I actually played this game and got like semi-decent for me, Adam. So things that have a lot of different characters, because you touched on this earlier, Steve. You said people always find somebody that they relate to, and then they want to get really good at that character, and they want to show their powers on it. They want to show how much time and effort they put into this character by beating other people. But I think that's a good start for people who aren't already into these styles of games. Having a wide cast or a lot of different types of characters, they're going to get attracted to the personalities, and they're going to want to learn more about these personalities. And then in turn, they can fall in love with the mechanics of the game. When I first started playing League, literally all my friends, and my husband included, said that, or thought that I was going to drop it within like 3 months. It's been 2.5 years, and I actually keep up with it more than my husband and 2 of my other friends do now. So definitely having a wide variety of characters to kind of pick and choose, fall in love with, be interested in. Super Smash Bros. Does a great job with this, since they have not only Nintendo characters, but they also start branching out and getting like Final Fantasy characters and Bayonetta is a Nintendo character. I keep on forgetting about that. Holy shit. Technically, okay, I don't know what other studio she's from. I just saw like her game on something. But there's so many different characters that we either grew up with, we relate to, we recognize from insert thing here. Like I played Final Fantasy VII back when I was a wee thing. Never beat it because I was really bad at video games. That's really fun and attractive for those kind of people. Another thing that I'm trying to think back to the few fighting games I have played, I like games that have a wide, I guess, or a high skill ceiling, if that makes any sense. Something. Sure. It's like there's a wide variety of things. You can get casuals playing Mario and doing decent with him when they're playing with their friends. LOL, we're just having a good time. And then you have the pro people taking that same character of Mario and stomping with him because that pro player knows how to get every ounce of utility out of Mario. You see this a lot in League of Legends. My main character, Yumi, people are always calling her a super bad champion. She has no gameplay. She's just really easy and stupid. Yeah, if you want to pick up and start playing Yumi, it's really easy to play Yumi and at least impact the game. But people who actually know the nuances of Yumi and know how to play her can, she's support, you can't carry on her very well, but you can impact the game so much harder and help your team actually win. So I like having that viability. I'm trying to think of who I quote unquote mained in Smash. I played a lot of Kirby and like I knew some combos. I was semi-decent at using some of Kirby's abilities, but I know if somebody else were to take that same character, they would be doing shit I have never even imagined, never even thought about. So I think that would make it easier for people who are interested in fighting games and the people who already do like fighting games to enjoy whatever game this company is creating. Let's pretend somebody was trying to create a game.
Kirby specifically is going to lead into a funny story later. Continue.
Oh, fun. But yeah, I think any kind of game or anytime a company wants to get more people interested in their games, they have to think about accessibility. So they need to make it kind of easy, unfortunately. I know that's going to make so many hardcore gamers out there cringe super hard, but it's like, look, you don't want to have a game with a high skill ceiling. League of Legends technically does. Like the people who stick with it are either insane or they have a bunch of friends who play and teach them how to play. Like my friends who've been playing since season 2, they didn't actually get quote unquote good until like season 5 or 6. I haven't been playing since season 7 and I feel like I'm at least adept at the game now. So yeah, you got to have an easy game to start.
Yeah. That's definitely the case with Smash Brothers. A lot of the fighting games that you see today have actually changed the way that they play, and or actually not the way they play, but the way that the system is designed around it. So you're talking about a skill ceiling. So when you go back in the day and you look at games like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, or let's say, you got games like Killer Instinct, and these type of games have an extremely high skill ceiling. And it isn't easy to get into, but the flashiness of it all is what gets people to actually either want to play or they love to watch. When it comes to the new type of games like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Dragon Ball, even the new Mortal Kombat, there's things that are implemented in the game that allow the players to execute said combos or moves a hell of a lot easier. And that's only because the companies realize that if they want to gather a larger audience, they're going to attempt to make the things easier. That pisses off a lot of the old school players because they know that the games shouldn't be simple. Like it shouldn't be easy. That's how they learn how to play. They just learned, like they had to learn through the school of hard knocks, and I think that the skill set that they applied for the newer audiences did work to a degree, but it lost its you tend to lose your, not respect, but yeah, you tend to lose like a little bit of the talent, I guess, when it comes to that, when somebody's able to execute said moves. Like we'll take a game like Street Fighter Third Strike, for example. You would have to the window to do a parry would be smaller and the risk is higher. But with somebody like let's say Ryu in in Street Fighter 5, you could just mash a particular button and the character will just parry everything that's coming at him at that particular time. So the skill set is actually, you know, a lot less, and there isn't that much respect. So when you have quote unquote the Daigo parry, which I'm sure Neko has never even heard of, but when you have the Daigo parry moment,
basically you see that GIF I made on screen. Every character in Third Strike can do that. They can legitimately perfect dodge everything someone does without taking any damage and then utterly destroying them.
Yes, yes.
Oh.
And the Daigo parry, quote unquote, the Daigo parry was a moment in time in FGC history where that kind of skill was unheard of. And what he was able to do was, turn the match around by having a perfect parry moment for a character that is, you have to figure out the timing on that perfectly, and to be able to do that in a tournament in such a high stakes environment was amazing. So that's the type of thing that people respect, because it's almost impossible to do. Now in Street Fighter 5, to be able to do that, you just push one button and you just mash it, and you're able to do that. So that's the thing. That's the skill gap that she was talking about, where it's like, oh, okay, well, newer players can get in, and, you know, oh, well, this character is really easy, but the pro players, yeah, they're really good with it. But a lot of people will say, well, that character's brain dead. You just do this and you get away with it. I think it's a good thing for, you know, the new people that are coming into said fighting games, but there should be a balance. You look at a game like MVCI, there is a thing called auto combos, where you push one button and the character will do a combo. Then you have Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which also has auto combos. The difference between those two games is that although you can push one button to do a combo in MVCI, it does no damage. So it's not really optimized, but it allows new players to come in to be able to do a combo, and they feel really good. They're like, oh, okay, cool, I can do this. Let's see what else I can do. And then they can learn the character far and beyond. With Dragon Ball Fighters, you can do an auto combo and it does the same amount of damage as you would doing an actual combo. So the skill set is definitely lost, because why would you do an actual combo when you can just do an auto combo and get the exact same amount of damage? You lose that skill set. You lose the people actually having respect for the players who actually learn how to do a full-on combo so that they can get the maximum amount of damage, as opposed to somebody who just mashes one fucking button. So like, yeah, exactly. So I understand what Neko's talking about when she talks about League of Legends, because there is a skill gap in almost every game, but that's just by design, because developers want the new players to get into the game easy, and then later on they just learn how to do the hard stuff. Nothing can be more more of an example than Smash. Smash is crazy easy to learn, and at high level, it is very, very challenging. So I don't know if Neko has actually ever tried Smash, or is she like, it comes down to what, it comes down to what you're, let's say you wanted to get into fighting games. It comes down to what you're actually interested in. The characters are a very big motivation. Players want to have a character that they can relate to so that they can start learning. If there was a League of Legends character that was, you know, the character that you really liked that made it into, I don't know, Mortal Kombat, would you pick up Mortal Kombat?
Oh my God, in a heartbeat.
There you go. And then you would actually be motivated to learn the said fighting, the fighting style, the fighting game, and you would do your best to try to figure out how to play that game, only because your favorite character's in there. So yes, there's a chance for everybody, but you have to be able to integrate it completely well. I can imagine Sub-Zero or Akuma make it into League of Legends, and I'd be like, oh my god, I need to play this game because I want to know what my character is. This actually happened to me. There was a specific costume for Diva in Overwatch that you can only get if you had played. I think it was either League of Legends or WoW or something like that. So I actually picked up the game and played it, and some of my fans were like, "Yeah, we'll teach you how to play the game," because they were really excited that I played said game. But I only did it because I wanted that costume. It was like the best costume ever. So it got me to play the game that I would never usually touch. But that's the motivation that you get there. And then who knows, maybe you might like the game. So companies are doing this all the time. This isn't something, that's new, but I like the idea of it. And it could work with, somebody like Neko, who is like, oh, I don't know if I would like to play fighting games, but I'm really thinking about it. Find a way to motivate those people and you'll get a lot more fighters.
Which characters are like cocaine.
Yeah, which is funny because you play a game like Tekken 7, and they decided to add, Negan from The Walking Dead, and everybody in the Tekken community was confused. Like, they're like, Negan? Like, why in the world would we even touch this character? Nobody knows why this character. But Tekken already knew that The Walking Dead is a popular show. It was popular at the time. It's still kind of popular, not as much as it before, but it was still popular at the time. People were eating up episodes of Walking Dead, and what better way to get random people to jump on the game than to have a character that has nothing to do with the game, but it will get people like Walking Dead fans to jump on in just because their favorite characters in there, and now they get to control them. It makes sense. So why the hell not?
Springboards off your earlier point that the 90% of casual players does make up the revenue for these sort of games. So yeah, doing things like bringing in some random ass character doesn't pander to the hardcore people, but it's what makes them money and what keeps their player base up. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, definitely. Smash, again, is probably the biggest example of that. Smash probably has the most crossovers in any fighting game in history, and that's what makes it probably one of the most, if not the most popular fighting game known to man right now. Now, me personally, I still say Smash is a brawler, not a fighting game, and that's that's hearsay, and that's neither here nor there. But for me personally, I think it's still a great example of how to market a product correctly. You have so many characters from all these different genres in one simple thing that it doesn't matter what you're into, it will have fans from all over come together to play one thing that everyone can enjoy. Why? Because it has a very easy learning curve. It has all your favorite characters, and it has a fun design and system that everyone can get into. I have trouble personally playing a fighting game or a brawler that you have to use a directional button to do actual moves. That's just weird to me. But I understand that regardless of how it's designed, it still will get a lot of people to play it just because of the characters by itself. And of course, like Neko was talking about, the casuals are the ones that are paying for these games. They're buying the DLC. They're spreading the word. They're supporting the tournaments. Those are the backbones of all of this. And the developers know that. So guess what? They're going to cater to those people, not the hardcore. So it makes sense.
Can I also add on to the idea of Smash doing this so well, being a game that's good for beginners?
Oh, yeah. So if anything, Neko, if you were to jump into a fighting game, Smash would be your thing, right? Or no?
Yeah, probably. It's probably the fighting game I've played the most. Like, the only other two fighting games I played was Tekken 2 when I was much younger. I was obsessed with Michelle Champ, so I spammed the crap out of her. But literally, I button mashed.
Nice.
And then as I got older, I discovered Skullgirls and I fell in love with the art style and the characters. But I'm really bad at the game because that one I feel is a little bit less entry level. So I instead just read everything about the characters, watched tons of videos about them, and I love the game. I just don't play it.
There you go.
There's one thing people underestimate about YouTube. No matter how good or bad you are at a fighting game, somebody online has a tutorial or instruction manual on how to get good on YouTube.
Well, it's true.
It depends on your motivation and how much time you have. Not everybody has the amount of time to put into these games. I remember what was it? I can't remember his name, but he was one of the best Street Fighters during the time that Street Fighter 2 had came out, and he was hailed as like the greatest Street Fighter. And as the game started to progress into the Alpha series and further on, he just sort of vanished. And several years later, they did an interview on him, and they were like, "Hey, what happened? Why did you retire? The fighting game community really loved your work and I loved your talent." And he was like, "Yeah, I got married and I had a kid. I had different priorities. I had to work." And it was like,
you see that happen to a lot of esports.
Yeah, and they're just like, "Yeah, I basically grew up like I went a different path." And not saying that playing video games isn't something that a grown-up does. It's just that his priorities changed in his life. So he decided that, hey, I'm just going to do something else. And that's the end of it. So again, it comes down to your motivation. It comes down to the time that you have and, what you're willing to do to get good with said characters.
Right. My final thought, you guys can, of course, continue on if you want to, but last thought for me. Another thing I wanted to mention that you might disagree with, being somebody who's a lot more into fighting games, but I think for casuals like me, having a solo mode helps a lot too, because I don't always want to play with other people who are going to stomp my ass at Smash. I want to just go have fun learning the characters. And
that's one of the reasons I actually like Dead or Alive. Yes, it is possible to like Dead or Alive for something besides titties. 6 is a piece of shit, though. We're not going to go there, but if you go on just Dead or Alive 4 and Dead or Alive 5's single player content and you do everything, that's almost 13 hours of gameplay right there.
Right, and you will learn during that. And I don't remember which game specifically. Maybe it was like Naruto or something like that, like one of the fighting games. But I tried to get better just by ignoring the solo mode, and I'm just trying to play matches against computers over and over and over again. But what I found, where I think it was Naruto that did do this, their solo mode helps you learn the different things you can do, like combos, different abilities, dodging, or like the substitution jutsu, shit like that. And it's like, oh shit, I can do this. It's a match designed to help you learn that skill, and then you can take it into your other matches later. So I like that hand holding, and maybe it will inspire some people to be like, okay, I learned the basics. Now let me try this hardcore against other real people.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, no, that's a great take on it, because a lot of people don't take that in consideration, and I think it's something that's slightly overlooked, but
I totally agree, because it's been heavily implied with Capcom, or more specifically the people that run Capcom versus the people that develop the games. Their shit for the last 5 Capcom fighting games that they've made, chronological numbered titles, not add-ons. There's always something the developer wanted to make, had the ability to make, and planned to make, but they told them, nah, fuck it, push this out right now.
Yeah. The main thing that I find from developers is always the same thing: we ran out of time. When there's something busted in the game, or something that shouldn't be there, or anything of that nature, you're like, why did you guys not fix that? Hey, we just ran out of time. Oh, man.
Told us they wanted it to specifically release in this quarter, and we didn't stick up for ourselves.
Exactly. So there are things, like you said, even like, Dead or Alive 6 might be a piece of shit to you. For the rest of us, we're like, it's a titty game, who cares? But you got guys like Suzy, who's like amazing at the game, and he's been playing the game for years, and he recognizes it as a solid fighting game. It's to each their own. There's games that definitely will catch your attention. And I think for a person like Neko, she just needs a game that catches her attention. Skullgirls is a great example. For whatever reason, she liked the characters. She immediately was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I want to jump into it." For me, I'm not into that art style. That classic, like Mickey Mouse cartoon type of style. But yeah,
I wouldn't call it Mickey Mouse, but I get what you're saying. Like American cartoon, yeah,
the classic, 1940s classic art cartoons. I didn't like that art style for that game, but it was funny to me because when I saw what was it, Cuphead, I was in love with it. I was like, oh, this is so fucking cool. Like, holy shit, look at these characters. And so it literally just comes down to what catches your eye, So Skullgirls is a great game. It has a great fun mechanic. The learning curve is actually really well done. The tutorials in the game, you don't need to go on YouTube to look up tutorials. They have a great tutorial system in there already. And the tournaments for that game is massive. You have guys like Sonic Fox, who's probably the greatest fighting game player of all time, that loves that game.
Fun fact, he got to 7 figures faster than anyone on record. His net worth is actually over $1 million. The motherfucker's barely old enough to drink.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yep. You'll find that in almost any in any game. Like was it Call of Duty? You have like what was it, like this 10-year-old kid that was murdering everybody in Call of Duty. He's like a tournament champion now, and like those child prodigies are everywhere in almost every aspect of gaming. So you got to respect it. Like those are the people that we love to watch, because you're like, how is he doing that? He's just a kid. And it's just one of those things where you see it from the ground up. So yeah, I
learned my lesson with Marvel vs. Capcom. Don't beat up grown ass men alone, because they will fracture your teeth because they're petty. Apparently the same thing happened to Daigo too.
I never heard of that. He got punched in real life for that.
So yeah, this is one of those weird situations, but I'll give you the short version. All right, so in Daigo's case, Daigo was playing fighting games in arcades back when arcades were seen as something like seedy or just not okay in Japan. So one day when he was like 8, maybe 7, he beat up this grown man in Street Fighter 3 times in a row. I think it was 2 stock all 3 times, right? Dude drags him out of the fucking arcade, and he just beats his face in the middle of the street in broad daylight.
Nice.
I am 8, maybe 9. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is rumored but hasn't come out. I'm in Texas, and I'm just in some random shopping mall. I'm not from Texas, and I was raised by parents who know if you get lost in this mall, I am not coming looking for you, is a great motivator to not screw up, because you don't know that they're bullshitting at the time. So I got some quarters for being a good kid. Hey, go play MVC. I didn't know I walked my ass into a tournament. They had to get a step stool for me just to be able to reach up the machines and shit, because for 8-year-old, I was kind of short. I don't know why. But I stomped like 15 people in a row. And then when I went to the bathroom, maybe he was a teenager, maybe he was a grown-ass man. I wanted to use the small stalls, the one meant for kids, because it goes all the way to the floor. Dude grabs the back of my head and bangs my face on the side corner of the floor stall.
You were 8 when this happened?
And I got a permanent fracture line in my front left tooth or right tooth. And they had to seal it up, and every so often they still have to seal it up because those teeth don't grow back once they get in.
God.
So here's the thing with that, is that some people shouldn't be playing video games. You got to understand is that video games are for fun, and those people have angerment issues. They usually are raged out or something like that, or just need anger management. Those are the type of people that shouldn't belong in any type of fighting game community, because even it doesn't matter how much trash talk you have and how much you hate the other person. At the end of the day, after the match is over, they usually shake hands and say, "Hey, good game. Hey, you beat me fair and square. I got outplayed," or whatnot. But there are those type of people that just don't belong in the community itself. And that goes for, again, that goes for any community. I'm sure Neko has seen plenty of people freak out in League of Legends or at WoW.
Yeah.
Exactly. That just, you're like, are you okay? Like, why would you do that? It's because it's not the fact that the game makes you that angry. It's the fact that you have angerment issues. If an 8-year-old kid beats you at anything, why would you get that angry? Daigo, again, instead of being angry at Daigo for beating a grown man, congratulate the kid. Hey, kid, you're going to go far in this game. Keep it up. I've been playing this game for months and you just wrecked me. You're amazing. That's a personality difference. That has nothing really to do with the fighting game community.
I mean, I really hate to say it, but upbringing is one of those things that never gets mentioned, but it's blatantly right there in the face. The main reason I play games and I'll rank up and I won't even tell my own friends and shit, I hate to say it, but sometimes I'm just I don't want to find out if one of my friends is those asshole scumbags. Back in the day when everybody got together and we played Smash, we had fun. We had the items on, not very high, mind you, and we would make puns and jokes about how somebody lost or if somebody got an item that they really liked. Now, if you did that shit in 2020, people would literally try to get you thrown out of a party or kicked out or try to mess with your drinks and shit because they're mad you made a joke when they lost. And then there's a whole flip side to that where somebody can't handle basic loss. Why you got these items on, man? See me in Final Destination. Fuck you. Blah, 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 blah. My parents hate me. Like, why are you?
Yeah. Me and the guys, we play with items on all the time. I mean, that's actually all we play with is with the items on. So
that was fun too.
Yeah.
When I get a home run bat, I swear to God, I make so many puns. I've made people want to not play the game.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a really nice friend who he was the best at Smash out of all of us. But whenever he would play with people like me who definitely weren't that good, he'd go on to his not main characters or characters he wasn't very good at. And if I beat him, which I beat him a couple times in a character I was quote unquote maining, I think it was Corrin, he'd be like, awesome, congratulations, you did a really good combo there, or you did XYZ, like you did good. It's like, thank you. Not being toxic, what a concept.
People don't exist anymore.
No, they don't.
They exist. You just gotta find the right people. They do exist.
Needle in a haystack.
Yeah, and it's a needle in a haystack. You gotta find them, but they are out there.
Yeah, okay, so next topic is, it's my turn. Well, you two basically said what I said already, but I'll just summarize it. I think that the main thing that needs to happen is, first and foremost, they need to be respected. And when when new people get catered to, it needs to not be frowned upon by the seasoned veterans, which, Steve said it best. That I've seen that since day one. I was that kid who didn't realize he was as good as he was because his cousins always beat him that were older. But when you're younger and you're thrown into seasoned veteran territory, you're either going to say fuck it or you're going to rise to their level. But by the time I rise to their level, none of us was really hanging out in the summer and shit. But I started noticing, oh, damn, I don't remember how I got this good. And it clicked. It was because they were teaching me, they were still brutally wounding my ego and soul, but they were teaching me what I was doing wrong and matchups, but they didn't say those exact words. If I pick Donkey Kong, the only way I think I can kill these older kids is if I put them on my back, and that's right, I'll pull a Donkey Kong suicide. You know what? You can hate me all you want to. I was 5, damn it. But, over time, they knew how to counter it. By over time, I meant 15 minutes later. So they started heavily implying you should try somebody else. And eventually I ended up picking a high tier. Because basically, I don't think there's been a Smash Brothers except for maybe Ultimate where Fox McCloud wasn't high on the tier. And one time, and I do mean one time, I beat my oldest cousin who had the most time and experience with the game and was beating up level 9s 2-on-1s. Mind you, it was one time. I'm like 6 or 7 when this happened because Smash Brothers 1, I think it came out when I was going into 7 or starting off 8, and I just won, which was unheard of at that point. And then boom, I started beating people. So I think they need to be respected. Yes, you should have a very, very detailed tutorial mode, but you also have to make sure it's not going to bore them to death. That's why I want there to be a mix of a good tutorial mixed with character-based tutorial. That's why everybody likes Guilty Gear, Xrd tutorial so much because it does both. It doesn't just show you how to play the game, it even tells you matchup information and basic information specifically about that character. Dead or Alive 5 is even more unique. Dead or Alive 5, the final version, they have a 300-point inspection tutorial. The first version of Dead or Alive 5 had like 20-point inspection. They knew what they were doing, but here's the thing also. They have character exercises, which a lot of people don't know what that means, but character exercise in Dead or Alive means the game is going to show you exactly how to do every single move on their command list and what situations activate and trigger them. No other fighting game does that. Yes, you can go down a list and look at a move and then watch the computer do the move, then try to do the move. No. They literally make you go one by one by one by one by one, and they checkbox you every time you've completed it.
Yes, cool. In-depth tutorials is something that should probably be in almost every fighting game, but the two most, actually three most, I'd say Skullgirls, Killer Instinct, and Tekken 7 have really stepped their game up as far as in-depth tutorials. Killer Instinct for sure. They actually show you like what opponents take out, what matchups are good for your opponents, and then how your character is supposed to take out said opponent. So it actually teaches you how to defeat other characters during a matchup, and it actually shows you if it's a bad matchup for your character. Like, oh, okay, Cinder versus Riptor. Is that a bad matchup for Cinder? It'll tell you, and then it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to counter specific moves when the character does that. So yeah, in-depth tutorials is actually a thing that's really starting to pick up in fighting games. But it's good to know that Dead or Alive has been doing it for a while as well. So
yeah, it's weird because Dead or Alive was assumed to be, no pun intended, dead after 4. I played the 3DS version. It was the shit. They actually went down and made you play through every single story mode, but made it make sense so you don't control the character. You switch and you played from Dead or Alive 1 story, which practically nobody played in North America because it didn't really come out. Everyone started at 2. Dead or Alive 1 story all the way up to Dead or Alive 4. And it was the shit. And people, I still say, I can't get people to play it. Dead or Alive on the 3DS is not only one of the best handheld fighting games that has ever been. I'm including Smash in there too. But they also went out of their way to make sure it was understandable. And when they got to 5, they really only added 2 new mechanics to the game. But every time they made a new version of 5, because there was 4 versions of 5, ending with last round. I really wish it was called Ultimate, but no, Ultimate was the second version. And they kept updating the tutorial and adding Virtual Fighter characters because, hey, Virtual Fighter needs some love. They're never in the crossovers, and they're like the daddy of 3D fighters. God damn it. They need more respect.
I don't know how, how that works in League of Legends, if they have like in-depth tutorials or anything like that, but I'm
not
sure.
Really. They did update their tutorial. Okay. Their first tutorial, absolute garbage, really bad. For some reason, you build the wrong item on Ash. But they did make a new tutorial that was a lot better. They let you try out a few different champions, did a couple different situations for you to do. But League of Legends is one of those games that's so extensive that like they would have to have a like solo offline mode where you go through like maybe a story, which that'd be hella fun. I'd play that. And they kind of force you on different characters. Unfortunately, League of Legends, everything you learn is from getting your ass whooped or people showing you.
Yeah, that's why their learning curve is so high. It's not because it's extremely technical like Dota. It's because there's nothing to teach you inherently.
It's a technical game. I can button mash through a fighting game, obviously not against good people, but League of Legends, like, unless I'm with other people who are the same level as me, like, you can't like button mash or like fake it through those kind of games. You're just gonna get your ass whooped.
Oh yeah, I could easily make you better at DOA 5, even if you were a button masher with just 2 things. But I'll tell you this: if you ever beat me with button mashing, I will kill myself on principle.
Well, here's the thing with me and games like WoW and League of Legends. What is it? Real-time RPG or I forget what it's called. Real-time RPG or.
Wait, talk about MOBA or?
Yeah, it's a MOBA, right? Yeah. The thing about those games, to me, when I see them, I always refer to it from that episode of South Park, where the kids had to beat this one guy who just stopped playing the game So they had to become that guy in order to beat him. And I see those games like that because it doesn't seem like there's just the skill level is there. It's just how long do you have to play the game so you can level up your character to the point where they're so unstoppable that there's no way to beat them regardless of how good you are. So you have to play that game till that point so that you can get to their level so that you can beat them using your skill. Now, I've been told by a lot of hardcore MOBA players that that's not the case in a lot of situations, because there are rooms where they balance out the levels and then you have to win through your skill. But for the most part, when you play the game, they're just characters that, oh, I've leveled them up to level, 300,000. You're never going to be able to touch me. I'll hit you with one move and you're dead. The only way you're going to beat me is if you play this game for that long and spend that much time on it, that you'll be able to actually beat said person. I don't know if that's stuff that you've encountered before, Neko.
Not necessarily in the same way. There is something to be said for amount of time playing a game. League of Legends isn't just understanding the map and your character. The people who obviously excel understand everything. They understand their matchup, the enemy character, what the enemy team comp wants to do. It just comes with experience. So I'm noticing a lot of things from when I first started playing to now. It's like, oh, I understand these matchups now. I know how to abuse them, even if I'm in a unfavorable matchup. But then I get people who know like way more than me, and it's like, oh, I've never played your champion, so yeah, I don't know what you're gonna do, but you know everything about me. You're gonna stomp me. So like in a way, a little bit, it's almost like life leveling up. That's a really weird way to say it. But League of Legends is never going to be like a grinding sort of game. There is no amount of grinding that automatically makes you the best player. I personally know people who play League of Legends like nonstop, and it's like, you're still not that good.
Yeah.
But a lot of it just does come with time, though. These people get better because of the time they've spent in it. But it's not that black and white as time equals skill.
So there isn't like characters that are crazy overpowered, you level up your character, because when you level up your character becomes stronger. It takes more hits to kill your character, right?
Well, the characters don't level up at all. There obviously is like balancing and meta. Oh, okay, yeah, literally in the game they do level up, but ideally, as long as you're not absolutely inting your brains out, you won't have a character who's 6 levels above your character. Ideally, throughout the game, you're kind of even. But there is meta, of course. So there are times where a champion is so busted that they're very brain dead. You can just kind of, as they would say, face roll on the keyboard and you can still win games. But usually the game tries to be balanced. Usually, as long as you're not playing the game 100% wrong, you'll be at the same level in that match as your opponents. So just grinding out a character to X level doesn't really happen in MOBAs.
Yeah, so basically what I figured out was that I like life. I'm just saying this, I don't think this will offend you guys, but for whoever's going to listen to this later on, I don't know, the 0.3 of you that will, I'm not saying this in a defamatory way, but Steve is right for the most part, and so is Neko, at least when it comes to fighting games. You will learn very quickly that some people just got better because of continuous grinding, or they just got better at understanding matchups, so they look better than their skill actually is. But the minute a DLC character comes out, they're broken because I can't figure out how to beat them. Well, did you spend 70 hours learning the matchup? No. But for me, what I learned very, very early on was that I was torn between two worlds. The outside world, literally, no joking, and indoor life. I like both. I not only watched Power Rangers growing up and sat on my ass and played with the toys and the games, I also went outside and played Power Rangers with my friends. All I know is no dibs on Pink Ranger, meaning I can't be given Pink Ranger, go me. Anyways, so I learned that when the modern age came up, aka YouTube, you could somewhat expand your skill level or your skill floor and ceiling by looking at what people are doing online. And just so we're clear, I don't mean a combo video. Combo videos are nice. Yes, it is cool when someone pulls off something that could be in a combo video in a match. I'm talking about understanding the character and the matchups, because to this day, a lot of fighting games still do not tell you one-to-one exact matchups. So if I'm playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, I like my team from the beta, but the minute I leave the beta, I start to notice my ass is getting mollywopped. But not really mollywopped. One specific character was getting mollywopped. The god of destruction himself, Lord Beerus. Apparently, he's a little bit too good at destruction because he destroyed his own tier, so he sucked for literally 90% of the game's lifespan until they patched him maybe even 4 months ago, and even then, he didn't really go up that much. I love Lord Beerus to death. I can easily make Tods in my sleep with Lord Beerus. But guess what? I play people, it's a wrap. I might as well just put down the controller. But I learned why instead of getting my ass handed to me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times by going online. Because I can mimicate and replicate what I see more easily, and I have a background and understanding because, like I said, I'm the middle guy in between you two who are on opposite extremes. I knew that I had to drop him. And it wasn't because my skill wasn't there, not in no matchups. It was because the basic material that he has in his kit and the way it's executed is so uniquely different that he is almost at a disadvantage. Is he a bad character? Kind of. Can you win with him? Absolutely. Will you see Beeruses in higher tiers? Absolutely. But they're going to be rare, and they're rare for a reason. And it's not because Beerus isn't the meta. It's because, much like with Donkey Kong, as I learned, Beerus has too much going against him. So one of the other things, and the final thing, at least for that one, I think they need to consider adding is they need to have some type of real-time indicator, whether you follow meta or not. In fact, I won't even say call it the meta index. Some type of real-time indicator on their characters if you have online connectivity that tells you how often or the percentage that these characters are used competitively. Dragon Ball FighterZ has only done it once, and they did it only in the Japanese version, and they did it once of the 3 seasons that they've had. And they basically showed that some shit we already thought. Everybody has Bardock on their team. The majority of people that win on their team have a combination of Bardock 21 or Gohan, adult Gohan was on a lot of teams and had a lot of win success rate, which mimics the meta. But people say you don't have to follow the meta. It's like, you don't. But listen, the meta will still show you what you're going to deal with the most. If someone tells me GT Goku, who I fucking hate even before he got in the game, because I knew what they were going to do with him, and I was right, was OP and all the pros are playing him, that means that when you go online, guess what? You're going to see a bunch of GT Goku. So what should you do? Learn how to fight GT Goku or learn how to fight Krillin, because both of those hitboxes pissed me off. And it worked. But I understand also that that's also from the perspective of someone who's in the middle ground. Someone who can hit those levels but don't want to, you know? I almost had a 300 casual non-ranked streak and Dragon Ball FighterZ when I was crashing at my friend's place for a week. And I was like, I got bored of it because motherfuckers was rage quitting. Am I the shit? Absolutely not. But then when I said, you know what, let me go and rank on my PS4, one of the first ranks I got outside of Cyberman was Namekian. I got pissed that Namekian was so low in the food chain. But then they created boss rush mode. I've been having fun ever since. I spend more time in boss rush mode. You're playing the game wrong. I was like, bitch, am I having fun? Well, then shut up. It's a game. The goal is to have fun. You get more people to play fighting games if they have fun. They don't have to necessarily win to have fun. They just have to be doing something that makes them happy.
I think game modes is another thing that could be touched on too for making a game more inviting to other people. There's people who are dedicated to League of Legends alternative game modes, and it's great because they're fun. They're like more relaxed and casual, so it gives people an outlet if they don't want to just play competitive all the effing time.
Exactly. All right, now next topic, and again, Steve, starting off with you. Should there be a defined limit to DLC in fighting games? Why or why not?
Should there be a fine limit to...
Yeah, a defined limit. Should there be a finite amount of DLC in a fighting game? Why or why not?
Oh, no. Knock yourself out. If the people keep supporting the game, why the heck not? Yeah, go ham. Go enjoy putting DLC. If the company wants to continue supporting the game and the community wants to continue playing the game, why the hell not? My thing is that if I pay $60 for a game, I want it to last. And if this game is going to last, I don't mind paying extra $20 here, $10 here, $15 here, whatever the case, to continue playing a game that I like. I don't necessarily need a new version of the game. I'm perfectly fine playing the game as long as it's being supported by the company. And if I like the game, why not? Enjoy it, continue enjoying it. There should be no reason why you're like, oh, they should stop making DLC for this game. At no point is it for you if you don't like the game anymore. Then don't buy the DLC. The company will see no one's buying the DLC and will stop supporting it.
Okay, fair enough. You are totally gonna hate my answer. Neko, how about you?
You're gonna hate my answer then, Zax, because I agree with him. I know in the when you wrote down all the topics, you did say something about what about limited disk space. Yes, that is a concern if it's a game for like a console or whatever. I don't know much about technology stuff. Where there is limited disk space, then yes, that is a challenge. You can't really have unlimited DLC. But given the technology we have now, I don't really see a limit. Look at Animal Crossing. They straight up said that they are going to continuously have, I think, free, awesome, DLC for the new Animal Crossing. Pokemon Sword and Shields had like 2 fucking updates because it didn't release a completed game. League of Legends.
To do Pokemon and Animal Crossing, you have no idea how much hate I'm about to get. See, I don't even want it with the Animal Crossing crew. They have Kat Dennings. I don't want Kat Dennings mad at me.
No idea who that is. I do not follow the Animal Crossing base that much.
I typed in Kat Dennings in the gift generator and it gave me nothing but hearts. That's accurate and not at the same time.
Y'all crazy people.
Like Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, maybe not necessarily Animal Crossing, but games like Grand Theft Auto 5 are a great example of DLC done right. Some people may not disagree. Some people might disagree because there is a level of pay to play in the game where if you want to buy said mansion, earning the money to buy that would take way too much time. But if you're willing to spend the time, you can earn that mansion just like in real life. But a lot of people like, oh, I want to buy a mansion, I want to buy a car, I want to buy a yacht, I want to buy a helicopter. Well, guess what? You're probably going to have to fork up the actual real life money so that you could spend the money in the game, and it'll cost you millions in the game, which costs you hundreds in real life. So there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. I still think Grand Theft Auto does it in a right way because there's so much content in Grand Theft Auto 5 online that it is insane. And they stuck to their guns and they continued to create content for the game. And there's so much of a vast majority of content done to the online point that the single player doesn't even seem like it's even part of the game now. The online section of Grand Theft Auto 5 has become its own entity, and I think it's made the game better in the long run. And I think people really enjoy it because there's so much to do. There's not just, oh, okay, well, I played all I can do, it's time to leave now. No, there's always something you can do in that game, and I think it's a perfect example of DLC done right. But go ahead, Zach. I want to hear your.
Does Grand Theft Auto to you feel like The Sims if you could be a criminal?
Yes. 100%.
Yes.
Dude,
Now,
like every time I look at Grand Theft Auto 5 and I hear about the DLC, I'm like, bro, this is basically The Sims except you get to be a supervillain.
Yes, granted that I've never really played The Sims, but I have played a game called Half-Life, and I've also played a game on PlayStation called PlayStation Home. So I understand.
Got a game, but I kind of miss it.
Yes, the correlation between Sims, Half-Life, the Sims Second Life, and PlayStation Home. I play those games consistently. So of course, Grand Theft Auto, I'm going to gravitate towards it easily, especially when they talk about online and having your own stuff and everything like that. Yes, it is.
Like, legit, I was like, wait, if you could be a fucking mobster in The Sims, I was like, this would totally be Grand Theft Auto.
Yes. And that's the thing, is that it gives you the option to have freedom, the freedom to do what you want. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of games, because a lot of games are very linear. They say, hey, you have a gun, but you need to get through this door. I can't get through this door. I need to find a key. You have a gun. Use your gun and shoot the door.
Thank you.
That's video game logic. In Grand Theft Auto, you are, let's say The Sims, you have the option to punch that person in the face, but you can't because The Sims says you can't. Well, in Grand Theft Auto, you have the options to talk to this person. You have the options to go on a boat ride or, go on a Ferris wheel. But you can also have the option to punch him in the face. Unfortunately, most people choose to punch the people in the face because they have the option to. But the reality is that you can do anything you want. And I think that's makes for the perfect game. It's the fact that you have the freedom to do whatever you want makes it perfect, in my opinion.
Freedom. Okay, so yeah, my answer is, well, the Sephiroth to you motherfuckers clouds. Long story short, I'm one of the people that feels like and notice that it's almost like a punishment if you support a game when it comes out, depending on the type of game. Because no matter what gets said, a lot of these companies, not only do they plan DLC before the game comes out, they've actually been caught on numerous times and occasions telling people to purposely cut out completed content so they can sell it to you later. You don't need Jimquisition to tell you that. All you need to do is look up one thing in Google: Street Fighter X Tekken. That's all you need.
Okay, so with that said, my position on DLC still stands because those are two different variations. Yeah, that's two different variations of DLC. You have DLC that they actually work on after the game is made, and you have DLC that they try to, that they actually try to force out of the game before the game is out, and then they release it later and say, hey, this is DLC. But people data mine the game and realize that information was already in there prior to that, and all they did was just add a little patch and say, oh, now you've accessed this. This wasn't a thing way back in SNES days. There was hidden content that you had to unlock back in Super Nintendo days. But now
Game Shark or Game Genie, now they're literally just building shit and then taking it out to sell it to
or
you.
You would just beat the game and find the secret code at the end of it, and then you would be able to unlock the secret level or whatever like that. That was quote unquote the DLC of those days. Nowadays it's just, oh, pay us a little bit more money and you get the new levels. I understand if a company decides that they want to work extra hard to make something a little bit, to give the people more of the product that they've already purchased. I'm perfectly okay with that. But if you try to shill your own customer base and force them to purchase, well, not force them, but try to manipulate them into purchasing something that is already in the game, then yes, that's shady business. And I think EA is also notorious for that as well. So
see, now I can't say EA. Damn it, I wanted to say EA.
There
you have no idea how much we love shitting on EA. Like, I tried to make it a drinking game at one point, and I regretted it the first day.
Yeah.
It's almost like an all roads lead to Rome situation. If there is something shitty or shady that has happened in the video game industry, EA has done a version of it or has done it better than everybody. It's not even a joke, though.
Yeah. Neko, has that actually happened with you in your games, or the MMO or the
MOBA?
The MOBAs?
I was gonna say DLC should. That's a whole other thing, Zach. So let's not get back on that. But I was gonna say DLC should only add content to a game. It should never be the content that should have been there in the first place. That's why I like some of the DLC I've done for things. It should either add on content so it makes the game more playable or keeps the playability going. Like, honestly, I'm really disappointed with the DLC for Breath of the Wild. I got bored. Zelda did not have that much replayability to me. It's probably not a common or not a popular opinion, but I got bored of that game so fast. If they brought out new DLC or like better DLC, I'd be so happy to purchase that. But
if you actually stopped and you got all of the 4 summon spirits when you first played Breath of the Wild, you basically don't really have a reason to pick it up. Well, I like exploring the world and environment. Yeah, but Link is alone. Grand Theft Auto is inclusive. Sims is inclusive. Link's problem is that he's always on his journey alone.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, yeah, I did uncover the entire map. I did all the shrines. I did all 4 things. Ganondorf was an easy fight. The only thing I didn't do was complete the Master Sword challenge, which was fun. Like the second half of it, I just kind of got bored. I'd pick up the game, be like, I'm going to finish the Master Sword challenge, and then get bored again. On the other side, DLC doesn't have to give you necessarily add content. It can just be cosmetics. Like as much as Hill and I shit on the League of Legends DLC, it's pure cosmetics. There's no way to pay to win in that game. No, you should not be wasting money on skins. It is very bad money management. But
it's okay. It's gambling.
I love it.
Is my issue.
Well, Leslie, I don't do that. That's a whole separate thing. But I'm more than happy to pay for things that continue the longevity of my games. More than happy to pay for things I think are pretty and I get to use a lot in the games. But and most of you guys probably don't know about this game, but I used to play Unison League. It's a phone RPG, MMORPG. I don't fucking know. And it was really, really fun at first when I was playing the early stages and I got my guild and everything. And I was playing with real people and we are doing guild fights at a specific time. We'd all get together. Yay! But it very quickly turned into pay to win. They kept on releasing new summons because what you do, you summon a monster and they create, big something that happens. And at first it wasn't a big deal. I'd spend a little money here and there to get the good monsters, but then they just became 100% whales, which you see happen with a lot of phone games, unfortunately. And it got so unfun that unless we were whaling or had a whale on our team, we literally could not beat the other guilds because they had the newest and bestest monsters. That might not be a big deal if they released new monsters every once in a while, but it was like every 2 weeks they had a new gacha, a new event, a new something, and every time their monsters got stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. I one time, unfortunately, spent about... Yes, but it was so fast. It was so frustrating. I one time, and this was the straw for me, I did spend $70 to get the best monster at the time. It was a Vocaloid collaboration, and it was Len, and I already had Rin. So I'm like, well, I fucking love Vocaloids. I want Len, and he was so strong. I'm like, my team will be strong. This will be great. I kid you not, fucking 2 weeks later, a stronger monster came out. And I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. My team doesn't win anything anymore because we're not whales and we're not retarded. Oh, nope, sorry, that was a really bad word. We're not stupid.
And this is not PG-13.
Okay. Wait, but we've been saying fucking stuff. How's that PG-13?
I said this is not PG-13.
Oh, well, it's a really offensive word. But anyway, these days at least. But that was the straw, and I refuse to play any other games like that. Like, no pay to win, that is horrible. But DLC that's just cosmetic, yeah, sure, I'll spend money on that. Cool.
Okay, can I have my question back now?
No.
Fuck you. So basically, that shortens my answers dramatically. But
sorry.
Add more. No, I mean, you're not wrong. I'm glad that we do have some agreement. But the reason I say no is because the companies, y'all basically said them, the companies cannot be trusted because they're vindictive, they're manipulative, and they don't care about how you feel about them as long as they can get money out of you. Look no further than, and Steve, you might want to cover your ears or hide in case Capcom sees this at some point, even though we all know they won't. Capcom goes out of its way to contradict what their own developers say after their developers have confirmed, we have heard your cries of bullshit and not wanting it in your games. What's his name? Ono. I can never remember his full name, but Ono. The dude who they stuck in charge of literally their entire fighting game development division as far back as 2009 because Street Fighter 4 did so well. Right? All right. That guy said, and I quote, when he was asked, are there going to be dozens or are there going to be extremely high amount of versions of Street Fighter 4? Almost word for word, his exact statement when translated into English was, we as a company have learned from our mistakes. You don't have to worry. We will not be repeating the multiple upon multiple iterations of Street Fighter 4. Hey, Steve, how many versions of Street Fighter 4 are there?
Well, you gotta also ask yourself, they were also asked when Tekken came out, here's like, hey, so are you gonna add custom clothing to your characters? And he specifically said, yeah, we don't want our characters wearing funny little hats and putting on little things like that. So it was a direct.
What happens in Street Fighter 5?
And what happened? They add all this bunch of little stuff, like stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, Steve, this is your first time encountering it. Did you know that my Google AI is British?
Sure.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you would know that, but yeah, we like to ask my British Google AI assistant various questions just to make a point. Hey, Google, how many versions of Street Fighter 4 are there?
Here is information from Wikipedia.
Let's see what we get here. Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, Street Fighter 4 3DS Edition, Street Fighter 4 Ultra, Street Fighter 4, what is this? Omega. I don't know if you count the PS4 re-release. I don't really, but I'm just talking about different iterations. So we'll just stop at Street Fighter 4 Omega. This is literally, dude, they announced Street Fighter 2. I mean, not Street Fighter 2. They announced Super Street Fighter 4 not even a full year after Street Fighter 4. That interview or that question before they got Super Street Fighter 2 Super Street Fighter 4 announcement was 2 months apart from each other. You can literally see the bullshit in your face. It doesn't matter what company it is, no matter how much you like them. If you give them goodwill, sometimes they will take a mile. Gambling DLC is a form of DLC. And if you say ambiguously, DLC should always happen as long as people buy it, well, therein lies my biggest problem. Because first off, whales or gambling addicts, people don't know that they're gambling addicts until they become a gambling addict. If I buy a fighting game, for example, when it comes out, oh, here's a Season Pass 1 edition. Okay, fine. I'm not going to feel like I'm punished for playing that game. But if the game does well, what's one of the first things they're going to decide? Are we going to put in gambling monetization cosmetics? Or are we going to put in some form of DLC that's going to make people get power creep sensation? Because power creep sensation leads to people doing regretful or begrudgingly buying new shit. I knew I needed Ultra Instinct Goku. Did I want Ultra Instinct Goku? Yes, but I was mad I didn't get Ultra Instinct Goku all of Season 2. But when he came out, I knew because of how many times I was seeing him and how I was getting stomped because the ratio of ass whoopery wasn't like with normal DLC. Any other character come out, there's a learning curve. Ultra Instinct Goku bothers people because he has features that only he can do in the game exclusively. No other character is like that. Every character has mechanics that someone else can do, except Ultra Instinct Goku. He is the only one that can teleport for free, and his teleport is arguably better because it costs no meter. Right? So, I say there should be a limit because these companies cannot be fucking trusted because they don't care. And if you think I'm full of shit, well, let's remember, in the past 3 years, how many different countries within the EU have openly banned loot boxes and simulated gambling? I think
that's true.
Those loot boxes and simulated gambling aren't necessarily DLC. DLC is something that you can purchase, but you're not forced to. So I do agree with you on the point of characters like Ultra Instinct Goku, because NetherRealm is notorious for doing that as well. They'll bring out DLC characters that are incredibly busted on purpose, or maybe, by accident, who knows? But I'm going to say it's on purpose. A great example is Injustice with the DLC character of Scorpion. Scorpion was completely broken when he first came out and everybody was using him. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand
it's called
why
get this or get steamrolled. I'm gonna. I can't give you exact names, but I'm in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
It is not uncommon, depending on what circle you're in, or if you just know people who put together tournaments, or if you just know certain development circles, to see NetherRealm or Warner Brothers people who, even though the company's in a different state or something now, they still have people here. Yeah. It is not uncommon to ask them questions, and I don't mean he say, she say. I mean I ask them directly. I can almost guarantee you, despite how people may think or feel, I pretty much got a direct confirmation from staff members on the DLC approach. I can almost guarantee you it's fucking intentional.
Yeah. We went down to NetherRealm Studios and talked to them directly. So we get a good, clear understanding of how they do it. I don't want to put everybody on that, pedestal of, yeah, you definitely did it. Like the thing is that developers will defend themselves till their face is blue, but we know the deal. You know what I mean? The idea is that the characters come out and they are designed to take out every single other character so that you feel like you're forced to play or to buy the DLC. but you can still enjoy the game without the DLC character. Again, you have the option. Gambling, on the other hand, is completely different, and so is loot boxing, because both of them are kind of in the same realm, where it's just all gambling. It's literally all gambling. And Grand Theft Auto literally has gambling. Like, they have a casino where you can go and literally gamble. So there are like I said, right ways to do it, and there's wrong ways to do it. And I think obviously making an overpowered character as DLC is obviously the wrong way to do it. Another wrong way to do it is to have DLC that's already in the game and just unlock it. And there are right ways to do it. So I think you definitely have a gripe with the wrong ways to do DLC, but
the thing is just that, don't get me wrong, you are right, but what it boils down for me is summarizes that the capacity for evil would go unchecked if we just said, hey, do whatever you want to do. Because remember, they're companies first. They're not people. They don't care about little Billy and Teddy who can't eat food because mommy gambled away not only their college funds, but everything in her bank account because she turned into a whale, even though she ain't rich. You know, they don't give a shit. They just want their wallets lined. And that's why I say that.
So then you could say that Nintendo's a company, right? And they don't care about little Billy or Ted or whatever like that.
I know they don't. Fire Emblem Heroes.
But Smash Brother has done it very well. There hasn't been an insanely busted character for their DLC, and when there was, like with Bayonetta, they fixed her.
Yes, so, I agree with that. But like I said, it's you got to take the good with the bad, and unfortunately for me, there's too much more bad than good.
Okay. So I think that's what your gripe is, that that's the thing that they.
I mean, I can agree with that. That there's a lot of bad.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it comes down to the company that you're buying your game from, and you have to make a decision on whether or not you decide, should I buy this DLC? Should I support the game, or should I continue supporting the game, or should I not? And for the most part, most people, they'll continue supporting the game even though they complain about it, which is what I do on a number of occasions. But I know where my sins lie, and I think the company does too. So,
if a game is still fun to play, if it's like one of those games that has tons of replayability, like League of Legends, you can play the game without spending any money on it.
No, I agree. Like, if you like a game, you're gonna play it. I'm just saying, like, well, it's like Steve mentioned, when it comes to fighters specifically, there is a mentality of, let's make this character busted, broken, and bougie and savage just to make sure people feel like they have to have this character to have a competitive edge or some shit like that. I saw it coming with Fighter Z, but the weird part is that that's like a recent development. When they first made new characters, it was basically a popularity contest. It wasn't because this character we could make broken. It was a popularity contest. It was an in-house popularity contest. But when they got to GT Goku, when they got to fucking Ultra Instinct Goku, it was a different ballgame. When Android 17 came out, everyone was mad he wasn't in the base game. And when he came out, he sucked so bad that some people would make joke tier lists where he had his own suck tier.
So there you go. So there you go. So there you go. There's a balance there. Ultra Instinct Goku is obviously, hey, buy the character or you'll lose at the game from everyone else who's playing the character. When Scorpion came out, he was busted as hell, but within a month, after all the complaints, they nerfed the character. Same thing with Bayonetta, but I'm not so sure about Ultra Instinct. I think he's still
no, he is, and GT Goku too, and it's not just because of his hitbox. There were features that people could do in an accident, not to get too technical, but double supers is basically a term used in Dragon Ball FighterZ when you can do a super with the same character without calling out another character. So theoretically, you could do 4 super combos in a fucking row.
Yeah.
Right? And on top of that, he has one of the strongest level 3s in game. Even though there are characters that have level 5 super combos, his level 3 is equal to, if not stronger than some of theirs, and his hitbox, and the fact that he has an alternative air dash. So like I said, he has exclusives, plus he's hard to hit. They removed the hit detection box from his tail completely.
Yeah. So for a character like, the same thing happened with Bardock. When he first came out, he was unstoppable, and everybody was losing their minds. After a couple of complaints, they nerfed him. But then you have, the other android that came out, and he was terrible when he first came out. NetherRealm is notorious for doing that too. They'll have a character that's insanely overpowered. What the hell were they thinking? And then they'll bring out another character DLC, and the character's terrible. It just comes down to you hope that the character that you really like is going to be the character that is not going to be terrible, or the character that might be, you know, oh, so overpowered that you just play them all day. You know, it's literally just a show of the cards, whether or not you're going to get an ace or not. So it just comes down to how much you enjoy that.
Agreed. All right.
Yeah.
Next topic. Now, this one may be interesting. I don't know how much detail you're going to need, but it's fine either way. I've told a bunch of people because, like I said, I follow DOA, so I can abbreviate it fairly quickly. Next topic, well, DOA 6. All right, so for DOA 6, although Dead or Alive 5 goes into the 4 figures and is technically one of the most profitable fighting games to be released with long series post-development, Dead or Alive 6 development cycle and post-game production support was ended only 2 years after the game was released. Do you think it was because there was too much TNA, bad publicity, or because them prices for things were becoming insane? And just for reference, if you bought all the DLC for Dead or Alive 6, you spent over $1,800 before taxes. So yeah, what do you think was the downfall of 6?
I didn't follow DOA series too much. I have to I have to be honest, because when it comes to DOA series as a fighting game, I'm one of those guys that as soon as I saw in the arcade, the first thing that came to mind, oh, it's a titty game. And I immediately stayed away from that because I was the type that was bitter about how the outside world saw gamers as being pervy little, hornballs that only like to play said games because of the fan service. So I definitely stayed away from that game intentionally because the tits were crazy. And it was intentional because the developer was very unapologetic. And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with a developer being unapologetic when it comes to how they want their games to look. If it's fan servicey, let it be fan servicey. Sure, knock yourself out. But I don't want to be seen playing a game like that and be considered a guy who's playing a titty game because, hey, I want to look at titties all day. I'm a fucking perv. Oh, shit.
I totally understand. I don't know how old you and Max are, but when Dead or Alive was new for me, I was, well, it sounds weird now, but I was innocent in this shit. I didn't have Tekken. I didn't have Virtual Fighter. I didn't have, so the only other 3D fighter was Mortal Kombat, but you didn't move on the 3D plane, so that was Dead or Alive, and it was on the Dreamcast. It was like the only fighter on the Dreamcast, and I thought that the ninjas looked cool. They said Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden was in this game. I was like, oh shit, really? And you see his face. Oh shit, really? Now you got to remember though, this is the me that doesn't even have all his teeth in his mouth.
Yeah.
So I came in there completely innocent. Then I saw the Xbox commercials like 6-7 years later, and I was like, the fuck?
Right.
And here's the part that pissed me off is like, my reasoning, and this is why I didn't catch a lot of hell, because oh, you just like playing the game because you a pervert. It's like, no, I don't. Also, you play Street Fighter, and you also play Mortal Kombat, and they are notorious for basically making all of their female characters, with save for a very few amount, basically look like they're bikini strippers or a themed stripper instead of actually what they're supposed to be. Sonya Blade, the minute she got into 3D, she practically wasn't respected after MK64. She was military stripper.
Right.
Like even as early as Mortal Kombat 9, which was 2011. Now I was in the military. Ain't no way in hell you going outside with cleavage showing, period.
Yeah.
That's not against a dress code. That's against a military code of conduct. That's completely different. You're getting in trouble.
When it came to Street Fighter, Chun-Li was the staple of the game. She definitely was wearing traditional Chinese outfit, and she wasn't lewd at all. But when it came to Cammy, then things went all the way north.
They were perverts for 18-year-old little blonde girls.
Yes, yeah. And I've had this discussion with the fellas before, and their take on it is that Street Fighter is designed to have over-the-top characters. When you have a military girl, you're not going to have a normal military-looking girl. No, you want her to be over the top, and you want her to have the perfect body, the body that people want to have. So of course you're going to mold her in a way that people will admire her body and her design, because she's supposed to be over the top. DOA has over the top jiggle effects, we'll say, yeah. And that's the design of the characters, is because that is supposed to be what the developers wanted for the game. You can't kink shame somebody for liking stuff that they're okay with enjoying. If they like it, they like it.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying that the purpose of Cammy was always objectification in general. But no, for me, what I'm saying is DOA, I couldn't get shamed because I made it easily and clearly understood. I didn't come for TNA, because you got to remember, I kind of sort of grew up on DOA. I was playing imported DOA before I knew it was DOA. Then when 2 came out, I was like, wait, I know these characters. And I didn't even become an adult until, Dead or Alive, the last Dead or Alive game I played before 5 was 4. And 4 didn't even come out when I was grown. So I was at that age where everyone was like, oh, well, that's expected. But if you sat down and watched me play, you know, I am not here for that. Also, I never fucked with the jiggle physics.
Yeah,
like legit.
See, there you go. And I would say the same thing for Suzy, because he sees it as a solid fighting game, and he plays it solid. Like,
it totally is, but the problem is they don't want to market and advertise it that way, so it's their own damn fault. Like, exactly. They want to grow their fan base, but then here you are. Are you trying to grow your fan base, or are you trying to grow erections? It's something I've always said about DOA ever since I saw those commercials with Dead or Alive 3 with the boys sitting on the couch playing the game, and then they put the pillows over their pants. It's like,
yes, I know.
What are you, like, which audience are you trying to grow, upstairs or downstairs?
Exactly, and that's the thing, is that I don't mind it when a company is unapologetic. They can make whatever game they want. That's totally fine. But if they want to, they can make a game for their fan base. If they're trying to get that particular fan base of, you know, horny kids, then sure, knock yourself out. Have a good time. If not, don't be so defensive about it. But I think that with games like Capcom, they were very adamant about stating that their game was supposed to be a game for everybody. It was like, oh, you know, we're making it more family friendly. And yet you have, you know, Mika. Yeah, you have Mika and Laura, you know, in Street Fighter 5, and you're like, oh, well, that's not very family. But again, it just depends on how you take it. Mortal Kombat, sure, they have specifically taken their characters and made them a little bit more conservative. You could say that. Yeah. A little bit more conservative, but they've upped the ante in gore and dismemberment and torture to up to like a 10. So it comes down to what you're actually offended by, you know? So
yeah, it doesn't bother me. My only problem is when you have inconsistencies from the mouth of the people working on the shit.
Yes, exactly.
Like, I don't care if you made a game where strippers are fighting. I honestly don't. I'm probably not going to play it. But if you tell me, oh, we're actually trying to fix this because people are getting the wrong image about our characters. Bitch, you have literally gone out of your way to try to sexualize Cammy so long. They even did it in sprite animations that had to get censored when they come overseas.
I definitely
You
agree.
get to Street Fighter 5, her basic outfit is supposed to be military formal attire. She's wearing lingerie panties with no bottom. She's literally just wearing a military blazer themed after the British military back in like the 70s. Like that's offensive on so many levels.
Here's the counter argument that I received.
No. I'm not saying anything against it. I'm saying that's their problem.
Yeah. I know, but
they do it. I care if they're hypocrites about it.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I agree with Simmons on, is that he said if they do it for the girls, people get upset, but if they do it with the guys, everyone forgets. If they do it for both, I'm perfectly fine with it. And they do. Street Fighter definitely has fan service for the guys, and they have fan service for the girls. Ryu looks like super hot, sweaty, you know, muscular guy, and he looks fucking perfect. And then you have Vega, who is fan servicey. You have Cody, which is extremely fan servicey. there's characters in there that appeal to everybody, and they market them specifically so that the other person, or that those people will feel attracted to those characters, because why? It makes money. Sure,
yeah, I have absolutely no problem with that. Like I said, my only problem is when you lie to me about it. But okay, so here's a short version of what DOA did, because we only got like one topic left anyway. All right, they completely changed the management development. Well, not the entire team, but they changed the head development and management for Dead or Alive 6. Now this guy went online and did a whole marketing campaign saying that we're toning down the game because we want people to take us seriously. We want to be viewed as a genuine fighting game that can be, for lack of a better term, respected, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh shit, finally, it only took them most of my natural life. I'm all for this. I was even getting my friends on this because I was telling them, yo, this is what they finally decided to do. They finally decided to understand basic common sense logic, right? Then the first thing that happens is they start getting in trouble because it turns out they fucking lied. They lied about what the characters were going to do. Then they said, oh no, it was a miscommunication. We should have cleared it up. Funny how you don't clear it up until after the game comes out. Then after the game comes out, they get a chance to go to EVO, which is, you know, DOA is practically non-existent at EVO, period. But they were at, I believe it was EVO Japan or whatever was the largest tournament before EVO Japan, 2018. And they had people showing off the game, and they had paid to get designated time to show the game through their Twitch stream, the official Twitch stream of this big giant Japanese fighting game, right? The people they had come up there to show off the game were basically dressed like strippers. And I don't mean that in the my personal opinion way. I mean that in the they actually tried to design their outfits like strippers. Everything they had Swiss cheese holes on them in Daisy Duke shorts. And the Daisy Duke shorts even had Swiss cheese holes on them. People would pull on their outfit, they would giggle, you could see a piece of panty, you could see a piece of bra. And then when they played the game, the main feature these two showed off was the camera mode, which has been around since like DOA 4. But guess what they tried to do? I'm sorry, guess what they succeeded in doing? They got the stream shut down and they got banned from the tournament because all they were doing was trying to take pictures that made it look like various wrestler characters were having sex with females by changing the angle of the camera.
Oi.
So then they released a statement where they make a mass apology that we weren't trying to do this, we weren't trying to do this. And then on top of that, they purposely didn't tell people that they took out half of the main features that have been in every single Dead or Alive since like 2, involving teaming up, cooperative play, and tag mode. But here's where they really kick you when you're down. Half of the new features that was in Dead or Alive 5, yeah, they could only be activated by team play. Because remember, there's a 2-on-2 mode. It could be 1 with 2 people or 2 people on each side of the team. Half of those features are now gone. And they don't even have half the stages that they do, and they took out other features too that weren't relating to co-op in the natural gameplay and the system mechanics, and they weren't technical or difficult either. They just took them out because they took them out, and to this day we never even got an explanation. The best we get was, well, we got rid of co-op mode because not a lot of people were playing it online. I'm like, you stupid motherfucker. But that's what happened, and then out of nowhere, quietly, they just decided to tell us on a random Twitter update, not even in the actual game, hey guys, we're just telling you right now that we're no longer going to support the game, period, at all. Patches, nothing. DOA 5 ran for about 4 to 5 years of patches and updates and stuff of that nature, cosmetics, crossover, blah, blah, blah. Whereas DOA 6, 22 months, maybe 22. So yeah, that's what happened. And yeah, so what do you think the reasoning is?
Yeah, it's was that part of like the core values incident that was supposed to be for like Evo and stuff like that? Because it was part of that whole core values thing. My whole thing is the fact that the game was supposed to be unapologetic. When they tried to apologize, they sent the wrong signal. And them saying, oh yeah, we're gonna make the game a little bit, more family friendly or whatever, they actually pissed off the hardcore fans that were, buying the games because of that in the first place.
Well, of course, they went in for the titties.
Yes. So, again, know your market, understand your fan base, and cater to them. If that's the way that the game has been made for all this long, and you know that your fan base enjoys that, why not continue that tradition?
But
Sure,
I don't even
people
mind
change and
that.
grow,
I totally
but
don't mind that. My issue is the execution. If you wanted to not
Right.
cater to smut, don't turn around and immediately cater to smut literally weeks after you said you weren't. Just
Yeah,
say you're going to
exactly.
do it, but you're also going to have, like, I don't know, a PG-13 mode or something.
Right. I honestly thought that the bouncing effects or the giant versions of the characters parts per se was going to be DLC. I honestly thought that they were going to add that in like later for like people who just wanted that. And I was like, oh, that would make sense. So that the people who want that same feel from the original games can still get that if they want to pay extra. But they just put it in the game and they're like, here you go. Oh, sorry, we didn't realize that what is going to be in there. Like you're full of it. Like we understand. It comes down. I don't mind a game being unapologetic. It's just that you have to be real. Be real with yourself. Be real with your fans. I don't know if that's anything that has been an issue with MOBAs before. With Neko, have you ever seen that? Like over.
Oh yeah, League of Legends is terrible with that sometimes. Like they're not nearly on the level of Dead or Alive when it comes to their obvious pandering and then trying to backpedal on it.
Yeah.
But like because League of Legends is, you know, a typical game, you know, typically it was meant for guys and everything. So a lot of the early champions were released very slutty. I mean, you look at Janna, it makes absolutely no sense that she's running around in bra and underpants.
Yeah.
So they've evolved over time, and I'm totally cool with that. But at the same time, I'm A-okay with smut as long as you go for it. Like, Evelyn is perfect. She is a motherfucking succubus. So they went ham with the sexy. Evelyn turns to the big monster you killed named Baron and goes, finally, someone who can please me. And it's like, oh no, Evelyn. But other characters, they start to apologize for because their character's a little sexy. And it's like, that's okay as long as you give them more personality, more depth, and you kind of go ham with it. So I don't know. Companies seem to be struggling with this a lot, and it's very frustrating because they're trying to cater to all the people out there who are like Tumblrites and freaking out over small things they don't need to freak out about. And it's like, don't pander to those people. They're stupid anyway. Don't listen to them. Keep with your creative integrity and go for whatever is best for your storytelling or whatever you started on. Like Dead or Alive started on titties. I wanted to play that game because of titties. So the fact that they're like trying to backpedal is really frustrating.
Yeah, I kind of like, you said that the character was a succubus, so isn't it supposed to be sexy?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what was the point of people being upset with a character that is literally designed to be that way?
Evelyn's a bad example. They actually did Evelyn just fine. A good example is Misfortune. Let me bring up a picture of her. She is a sexy pirate bounty hunter. And I'm A-okay with her being sexy as fuck because she's badass as fuck too. Her lines are a lot of like, I'm so sexy, I'm going to tease you, but then she's going to shoot you in the face with her guns. So there's been a lot of issues with Misfortune because everyone's like, oh, she's just slutty and stuff like that. They're completely forgetting about how cool she is. And in every other depiction of Misfortune, whether it be their comics, their cinematics, or their side stories, Misfortune uses her sex appeal to defeat the bad guys or get her bounties and do other things. So she's still very strong and independent. But not everyone's freaking out about her and trying to put shirts on her. Or not everyone, I'm sorry, Riot.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the picture now, and I understand why. It's because the character is unbelievable. Like a character like that probably wouldn't survive in such environment. But again, it's fantasy, and the characters are supposed to be over the top. So the whole point is that the character is supposed to be something that comes out of your imagination. So of course she's supposed to be sexy. It's something that you enjoy looking at. There shouldn't be anything wrong.
I was gonna say, I wouldn't be so pissed at Riot if they weren't Riot's doing it. Like part of it is them bending a knee to the fans who are pissy, but Riot's trying to do the, oh no, we're so sorry we made her like this, and now every skin they release for her is backpedaling.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't play the DOA series, so I don't have a whole lot of actual like experience with it. But that's what I would assume, because once you start pissing off your fan base, you lose that loyalty. I've seen it with other games. I'm gonna once again mention League of Legends. Everyone's up in arms about them, and I know people personally who have renounced the game. I'm just too stupid to do that. So I'm putting my bet on, yeah, they just pissed off their fan base. They went against what the original appeal of the games. And now everyone's like, they lost hope. They lost faith in that company. They don't want to bother anymore, no matter how many new games they come out with. Once you get to that point where you lose all of their trust, it takes some like completely like life-changing new innovation in your game to bring them back. Cause like, yeah, that's what it is. Once you lose that trust, you can't get it back unless you like, actually, no, I can't even think of any way to get them back.
All right, final question. What should Capcom alter in the inevitable Street Fighter 6 to possibly grow interest in their franchise and recover some longtime fans besides the netcode?
Change up the style. I think the style probably needs a reboot because this style, the animations were great, but I think the overall production of the characters probably wasn't the best, and it kind of makes it look like it was a budget game. But if you really think about it, it was a budget game. The funny thing is that it wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for PlayStation fronting the money for them to actually finish up the game. But with the next Street Fighter, I think they should run or we've already been speculating this. They're probably going to use the Resident Evil engine and make the characters look a little bit more like hyper realistic characters, which would be kind of cool. If they do go that route, I'm all for it. I want to see something new with Street Fighter. Give us something different for the characters so that we can. Street Fighter is all about style. It's all about its art. There's so many different versions and variations of Street Fighter in the way that they look that it's universal. So I have no problem with them making a different style of Street Fighter and making not necessarily a new a fighting engine, but give us a fighting engine that we would that we've come to love and enjoy. Don't Mortal Kombat 11 it. Just have fun. Have fun with making your characters and making the combos and making the tech so that we can have fun playing the game. That's all I want.
Fair enough. All right, Neko, what does Capcom have to do to actually, for the first time probably in history, get in your wallet or purse, I guess?
I guess since I haven't played, like, I may have played one of the Street Fighter games like once, but it was never one of the games I cared that much about. So I guess for me, already not being interested in it, this kind of goes back to the beginning where we talked about like intriguing character, or I guess intriguing is a good word for it, but like characters I can relate to, characters I find very interesting, so much so that I want to play this game. But actually, like what Steve said, where have fun with your characters, make quality characters, and that will, in turn, the players will enjoy that too. You see a lot of games get to this point where they're giving up, sacrificing quality just because they're trying to push stuff out, try to pander to as many people as possible. No, slow down, enjoy the characters, make sure they're thought out, make sure they are well balanced, create quality over quantity, and it'll show through. Like, your work will speak for itself at that point. Yeah, I don't think I got much more on that.
Unlike your face. Okay, so for me, I think, well, I've said it numerous times, but I'm going to highly abbreviate it because I know everyone's on a time crunch. I want them to do the one thing that they seem to only do in other fighting games, which is grow and evolve the combat system. If you really, really, really just sit down, go from Street Fighter Alpha all the way to Street Fighter 5, the only time there was a drastic change is when you get the Omega versions of the characters in the final version of Street Fighter 4. And at that point, it was almost like superfluous that they did it. Because first off, when's the last time anybody even heard of a Street Fighter Omega mode character only tournament? I ain't seen that shit. I'd love to see that shit. I would literally sit down, pop some popcorn, and run out, because it's probably going to be 3 or 4 hours long, and watch an Omega Street Fighter tournament. Basically, I want to see them cater to the old folks so they can shut the hell up for once in their lives and make a Street Fighter game that's got every single feature that they've ever made for every Street Fighter beforehand, not the crossovers, on their characters. There's an Aism gauge, there's a Vism gauge, there's an Xism gauge. You get a gauge. Look under your counters. You get a parry. You get a parry from Street Fighter Third Strike. Give them all their shit back. Just make it so they can only use a set amount of it. That's what made Capcom vs. SNK cool. Because even though you could do custom grooves, you had limits on what you could do. But on the flip side, I want them to call it Street Fighter Neo or Street Fighter 6 Neo mode. And I want them to make something that actually can grow and evolve. If you stop and look at Street Fighter vs. Tekken characters, the way they played was how I envisioned how the Street Fighter characters would play in Street Fighter V before we knew there was Street Fighter V. Because think about it, they were actually still pretty slow moving. The pace of the game wasn't too fast. It was easy to do the combos and pull them off. I don't give a shit about the gems. The gems can go die in a fire. But then when you get to the other more traditional characters, you barely even notice a difference to them. Go and make everyone play like Jin Kazama did and Haomaru and shit. Don't copy their moves, but copy the button layouts. Copy the fact that everything is a hunter style combo. Basically, that means that you can hit and punch and kick shit without worrying about a super exact timing that could fuck up your fingers. The older you get, the more harder timing is gonna get. Human reflexes peak at around 24 to 25. So the rest is just a slow decline. And for me, only thing you gotta do, fucking give me DeCapra at the beginning of the game. She's one of the only characters I still think is cool because her backstory is just completely and totally missing. There's a level of mystery to her, but she's also angry as fuck and you never know when she's gonna lose her mind. And if you look at her character growth, literally, she might be dying because she may be an old school type of clone. You give me that alternate version, Neo version Street Fighter 6, I'll happily buy it and make DeCapra in the game. They just announced that if they get done with the DLC fast enough for Street Fighter 5, they might make, fuck you, they might make DeCapra an actual DLC character in Street Fighter 5 if they get done with the DLC they already have planned. But yeah, that's it for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I could see that working, definitely. I think that was kind of like the first poll that they had. Again, I don't really pay attention, so I don't really know what else they did after that. But yeah, for me, I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. I mean, all my mains are already in there, so I don't really care, but neato.
Okay. Steve, you got any closing statements?
No. This has been a very interesting conversation. I definitely think this has been educational at the most.
I can say the same. I've learned a lot today.
Neko, closing statements?
Nope. Just it is funny to see like all the differences between the fighting game community and I guess the MOBA community that I'm a part of. But it was also interesting too because there were a few differences that I definitely haven't seen in the MOBA community. So neat. It's always fun to kind of spread your horizons. Open your horizons, whatever.
Yeah, you know all about that. All right, with that being said, this has been another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. Steve, you know, technically you're not a member of the podcast, but hey, if you ever want to pop by, I don't think anybody's ever going to bitch about it. With that being said, I will see you guys when I see you guys. And